As you all know, I've been roasting Matthew McConaughey lately.
Truth that hit me.
You're a sucker.
I'm so sick of him.
You want at before you fight with.
This is what happens when you start treating your personality like a TED Talk.
I threw all of this aside, I threw all of my beef aside so I could watch The Lost Bus, which premiered today on Apple TV. It's based on the true story of Kevin McKay, played by Matthew McConaughey, a school bus driver who is tasked with rescuing a group of kids during the 2018 California wildfires. Cards on the table, people. The first 10 minutes I found really rough. Within the first 10 minutes, there's so much exposition. You've got the medical bills, you've got the sick mother, the sick dog, you've got an estranged son blasting music, you've got a divorce, you've got all this chaos. You get McConaughey crying in the first 8 minutes of the movie. And it's a bit like, I'm sorry, are you telling me I have to care about these people, or am I going to get a chance to decide I want to? Now, once the fire kicks in, I think the movie sharpens. I think all of those elements, the chaos of his personal life, starts to parallel the sort of escalating wildfire. And I wish they'd sort of built those two things together much better than they did. The problem with this movie, for me, is balance. I think The Last Bus sits really awkwardly between two much better movies about fire. On the one side, you've got Only the Brave, right? The story that's more character-driven and spends most of its runtime sort of telling you about the men before the big fire, before the tragedy kicks in. And on the other side of that spectrum, you've got a movie like Deepwater Horizon, which gives you just enough backstory to care about the characters and to notice their chemistry, but keeps its focus squarely on the systemic villain, which is BP. When you leave Deepwater Horizon, you care about the characters, sure, but you're really seething at corporate negligence. This film tries to do both. It wants to be Kevin's melodrama, and then also wants to be the systemic story about a fire. And in the process, the real villain of the story, which is PG&E, the company that caused this, whose negligence caused this devastation, they barely appear. We do not see the villain of this story nearly enough, and that's a problem. Deepwater Horizon leaves you with such fury, and The Last Bus attempts to try and ask you to be furious, but it hasn't really delivered all the reasons why. When I left the movie, I went and Googled the actual tragedy, and I was left more angry at the Wikipedia page of the events than the movie allowed me to be. Too much of this movie, the weight falls on McConaughey. I remember that Denzel once said that theatre is an actor's medium, film is a director's medium. And I think the best films and the best teams understand that humility is required there. Deepwater Horizon works because no one actor is overdoing it, over-egging, asking for the camera to be all about them. Everyone is doing the exact right amount, and the craft of directing, editing, sound, cinematography, all of it carries the tension. The Lost Bus doesn't trust itself to do that. It overshoots, and it depends on a very heavy performance from Matthew McConaughey. Ironically, the best moments are the restrained ones. There's a scene when someone turns to McConaughey and says, "What do we do now?" And you can see it on his face, and he says, "I don't know." That's enough. I don't need more than that. It's perfect. That lands, or later on when there's a bus depot colleague and she speaks about him with respect, and the lining is very simple. It's not over-egging it. It's saying, "We trust Kevin. We know Kevin." It's enough. That's the few times I felt like an emotional tug with the film. And that's ultimately my verdict. I think The Lost Bus is very watchable. It's very tense in bursts. It's really captivating. It's worth seeing just for the spectacle of the fire alone. There's some really interesting film going on with like how it portrays the fire moving through the landscape. But it's bloated, it's 2 hours long, and it's imbalanced, and ultimately it should have picked a lane. Either give us full human drama and tell us all about Kevin like in Only the Brave, or give us the systemic fury of Deepwater Horizon. Instead, it sits uneasily in the middle, overstuffed with McConaughey's melodrama and undercutting its own potential to hammer home the real and true villain of this story.